What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're looking at a technical aspect from Mortal Kombat 11. Since the trailer came out, there are already talks about, different aspects of the game. One of them that came up was on, my community page here with the comment section of my video where someone was saying, I'm hoping that this game will be in Unreal Engine 5 rather than Unreal Engine 4. It gives me the opportunity to talk a little bit about these game engine paradigms, and we're going to look a little bit into some of those aspects, and I'll give my own opinions on what I think about the game engine and why I don't necessarily care which one it is. But first of all, shout out to Ed Boon, who put this picture out here. Mortal Kombat from 1992 compared to Mortal Kombat in 2023. That's a huge step up. More than a step up. We're talking about miles as to the graphic fidelity, improvement in quality. Now, this is, in-game from 1992 compared to a CGI render, which is done, by, huge firms that can pull this stuff off. But the in-game quality of Mortal Kombat 11, is not even something that you can even question, which is the latest Mortal Kombat game. If you were to go to, the latest Mortal Kombat game and you were to look at, say, a character, set up with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, that's not really going to be something where you're going to be asking, is the quality good or is the quality better? The quality has improved significantly. You can't even imagine, like your mind can't even, my mind anyways, I shouldn't say your mind, my mind can't even fathom how unique and how different all of this is overall in today's day and age. But overall, if you look at this whole question of, the engine type and so on and so forth, I think even though it's a conversation that, is worth having, I have to give the caveat by saying, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't really matter the engine that you're using to make your game, because specifically what you need is the engine that is actually going to make your game work. That's the most important thing. Now, I also got to see a tweet that was put up by a developer from another Warner Brothers studio that really does bring home this, conversation. Now, this tweet, they said, I think it's cool when YouTubers and journalists cover Unreal Engine tech demos, but it bothers me when they editorialize about how useful and game-changing the tools are. Actual development teams don't even know that until they perform a hands-on assessment. This, I think, is actually true from my own experience in learning game development. Because even when Epic Games used to, pretty much update the Unreal Engine versions, they would say, hey, before you go ahead and, open a new file in the new version of Unreal Engine, like say, because Unreal Engine 4 had multiple versions of it. I don't know if many of you know that, but I jumped in when Unreal Engine was at 4.24. Yes, I'm a baby, those of you that are developers, but Unreal Engine eventually stopped its development at 4.26 or 27 before the development teams moved all the way to Unreal Engine Unreal Engine 5.0 or 5.01 or something like that to bring the Unreal Engine 5, platform to everyone. And so even then they would say, hey man, you better make sure that, before you jump in to a new engine, that you go ahead and ensure that your project is working properly and so on and so forth. So here's Unreal Engine 5. This is a game engine that hasn't really dropped a lot of games. The new Fortnite game has already been dropped on the engine, but again, Unreal Engine is made by Epic Games, the people who make Fortnite, so they know how to use their engine. They know how to modify their engine to work and make their games. Now, as much as NetherRealms is using Unreal Engine technology, which they use Unreal Engine 3, I think, for MKX, and they use Unreal Engine 4 for MK11, Unreal Engine 4, yes, for MK11, sorry. All those numbers threw me off. I think they'll be very careful to jump into Unreal Engine 5, even though the engine has, all kinds of different fun stuff that they could leverage to work for their game. I mean, in making a 2D game, in my opinion anyways, I don't necessarily think the paradigms are really going to be, too different overall. I mean, when I say the paradigms are not going to be too different, it's a matter of camera, movement controls, and a lot of your, environmental artistic paradigms in a sense, like, what you're going to do. Like if I was to rotate this camera here and change its location and its position, I save that, and I go ahead and play the game, you now start seeing the character I just showed you just now, that was moving one direction. My camera is now positioned right beside him, and so that character should be able to move sideways, but my controls are all wonky. And when I say wonky, I mean instead of me moving with the right key or the D key, I now have to move with the A key because I need to go ahead and tweak my movement controls, which are set up for a camera, set of paradigms that require all of this. So I got to go back and remap all this stuff so that I can move left and right in a situation, something, that looks like a fighting game scenario. I mean, I know you know what I'm talking about. Let's just go ahead and kind of get a better look at this. So something like this, where my character can move left and, right and all that good stuff. Now, when it comes to my environment, if you look very closely, this environment is a 2D representation, but it is a 3D environment because this is where you can actually stack full-blown characters. If you look in the background, in this fight club here, you see a bunch of NPCs that are just there pretty much I'm playing different animations, kind of cheering you on to fight. And then, you see like the bar over there. You see that there's like a cage that's breaking them off from the fight, arena. But this is all the 3D, 2D spatial arrangement and the, environmental design that kind of goes into it. But overall, the engine that you're using, can it make or break your fighting game? It's very rare because fighting games, they carry a whole different paradigm, like, collision, parameters and all kinds of fun stuff. Hold on, let me get my controller here. And you should be able to control your player in a very interesting way where, you want to make sure that collisions and hits land very well. You have hit reactions and you don't have bugs and glitches and so, and some sort of stuff like that. Sometimes developers will even, defy the entire, paradigm in terms of what you think is a standard and make some characters different. So a lot of what's going in is the development side that doesn't really have to do with the external aspects of what you see the capabilities of Unreal Engine 5 doing. Unreal Engine 5 is showcases mainly to be able to render open worlds and all of this stuff. Whereas in a fighting game, you just need to follow the rules. You just need to follow your frame data, like, your actions. This punch is a 7-frame punch. With Sub-Zero, his down one is, I think, 6 frame. So, that's his down punch. That's for Sub-Zero, not for Scorpion. So those rules are the major rules that have to be actually adhered to in developing a fighting game compared to, say, developing an open world game. So whether it's Unreal Engine 4, whether it's Unreal Engine 5, I don't think it necessarily matters overall. I think what matters the most is the tool that's actually going to get the job done, that the developers know about. And, one where I strongly believe that any development team that's coming into the picture that wants to, pretty much, make a good game is capable of using. There's no need. Hold on, it's going to be wild trying to figure this out. But I mean, there are ways you can tweak the movement systems and all that stuff. I just like playing around with this stuff. But by and large, I think where we as gamers, are getting more and more interested in the conversation is good. But the editorialization from the different games outlets and so on and so forth, they don't really tell you how game development teams are really, in my opinion anyways, from what I've seen, not too keen on jumping into new software and throwing all their hard work that's already working, that's already fine and dandy, and throwing all that into a brand new engine. Even though the engine and the developers at Epic Games swear that you can move a lot of your projects to Unreal Engine, Unreal Engine 5, it's not as easy as that. They really have to do some good work there. They'd have to basically tweak some things. But if it comes out that they're using Unreal Engine 5 for Mortal Kombat 1, it's not really also going to be a problem. But I don't necessarily see how, because the timeline doesn't necessarily help solidify that. But it could be. They just moved the whole game to Unreal Engine 5 and everything started working fine and dandy. That would be wonderful if that's the case. But I don't know. I mean, if you think they released Unreal Engine 5, just I think right after the huge stay-home medical thing. I think that was around the time they started talking about it and teasing it, if I'm correct. And Mortal Kombat 11 came out in 2019. So if they were working on the next Mortal Kombat game right after the release of Mortal Kombat 11, they may have stuck with the same engine as well. But it's a nice conversation to have. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience. And hopefully we can continue to talk a little bit more about Mortal Kombat in the future. And thank you so much for watching. And hopefully we'll talk pretty soon. Like I said, peace out.